I've driven rideshare at night for almost 5 years. The airport is my bread and butter between midnight and 3 a.m. Steady pings, short trips, no bar drama. If you've ever worked that window, you know the feeling. Glossy floors, echoing announcements, and the hum of suitcase wheels. The air in the parking garages always smells like rubber and cold concrete. It was a Tuesday, sliding into Wednesday. Clear sky, dry roads, light wind. At 1:42 a.m., I got a ping for Terminal B, Level 4, Row H, one of the upper garage pickups. Rider name said Evan, rating looked normal. The note on the request just said black carry-on. Don't honk. I rolled up the ramp, passing the big green H signs, and pulled into the pickup lane where you can idle for 5 minutes before airport police shoo you. A white sedan 2 cars ahead had its hazards on. Farther down, a couple hugged goodbye under the yellow lights. I texted, "Here." 30 seconds later, a guy in a thin gray hoodie and a baseball cap appeared from between 2 SUVs. He had a small black carry-on rolling behind him and a backpack slung across his chest. He didn't wave. He just walked to my rear door, opened it, and slid in. The bag went directly behind me with a soft thump against the back of my seat. "Evan?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. His voice was low, just above a whisper. "Can we get out of the garage quick?" "I'm running late." "Sure," I said, and started moving. The app showed the destination, a new apartment complex across town, 22 minutes with no traffic. The blue route took the highway like usual. As I eased onto the down ramp, he leaned forward a little and said, "Mind going surface streets?" "The highway's jammed by lane 6. "It isn't," I said, glancing at the live traffic overlay. "But I can go surface if you want." He nodded, sat back and tugged his hood a little lower. I adjusted the climate so it wouldn't blast and asked if he wanted water. He said no. He didn't smell like a flight. No stale airplane scent, no cologne, no food. Just cold air and detergent. We took the outer road, then the frontage road that runs behind the rental car center. It's quiet back there, just chain link fence and a couple of badge reader gates. The app buzzed in my mount with a banner I don't see often. Rider added a stop. The map didn't show a second pin. Just a slight reroute down a side street I'd never taken. A dead straight drive that ends behind a new mixed-use complex with a gated garage. "Did you add a stop?" I asked, keeping my tone neutral. "Yeah," he said. "Just a second, gotta grab a key from my buddy." "Okay," I said. Lots of people add quick stops. It wasn't unusual. But the new route wanted me to turn into a loading alley that never has cars at night because the shops are closed. The turn would put me under a short overpass between 2 buildings where the GPS sometimes glitches. I know because food delivery drivers cut through there and complain about it. As we made the right into the alley, my dash radio switched from Bluetooth to FM by itself and hissed static for 2 seconds before going silent. Happens sometimes from interference in that spot. I clicked it off. "Sorry," I said out of habit. "No worries," he said. We rolled to the back of the complex. The gate to the private garage was down. Next to it, a man door with a keypad flickered a weak green glow. There was no one waiting outside. The shops were dark. A piece of napkin skittered across the pavement in a small breeze. "Pull up to the garage," he said. "I'll get it open." I stopped a car length short of the gate and put it in park. "I can't go inside private garages," I said. "Company policy. I can wait here." "It's fine," he said. "I can open it with my phone." He held up his screen. From my angle, all I could see was a white glare. He tapped something. The keypad by the door beeped, and the garage gate made a sound like a big throat clearing, then stopped. "It didn't lift. Give it a sec," he said, tapping again. Behind us, a white cargo van turned into the alley and rolled slow, its headlights dim, like someone had turned the switch halfway. It had no company logo that I could see. No front plate either. Some states don't require them, but around here most cars have both. "Hey," I said, watching in the mirror. "I'm going to circle once and come back. Don't want to block." He didn't say anything for a beat. Then, "Okay." I pulled forward, made a tight 3-point turn by the loading dock and past the van. The driver's face was a shadow beyond glass. As I cleared, the van angled its nose toward the garage and idled where I had been. I went back out to the main road, took the next left, and looped the block. It took under a minute. When I came back into the alley, the van was still there, angled the same way. The gate was still down. My passenger shifted in the back seat. He hadn't taken his bag with him. He hadn't tried the door. He just sat and watched. "Let's skip the key," he said suddenly. "Just take me home." "Okay," I said, and followed the original route again, back to the frontage road. We drove 2 minutes in silence. I couldn't shake the feeling riding around my ribs. I glanced at the mirror. He had settled directly behind me, not offset. I always prefer when people sit on the passenger side so I can see them in my peripheral. I thought about telling him that. I didn't. We crossed under the highway. The app quietly rerouted us back to the highway with the fastest route banner. He leaned forward again. "Surface streets," he said. "Please." "Got it," I said, and stayed under the lights. At the next light, my iPhone chimed with a notification I'd never heard in the car before. "Unknown AirTag detected moving with you." The screen lit up with the little map and the disable button. I felt a cold rush, like I'd opened the window in winter. I hit the power button to kill the screen and glanced back. He hadn't moved. "What was that?" he asked. "A spam alert," I lied. "Ignore it. My chest was a drum." I changed lanes and aimed for a large 24-hour gas station on the corner, bright and busy even at 2 a.m. "Need to grab a coffee," I said, trying to keep my voice level. "You want one?" "On me." "No," he said. Then after a second, "I'll get out here." "The gas station?" I asked. "Yeah," he said. "I'll call another car." The light went green. I turned in. He opened the door before I had fully stopped and stepped out with his backpack. He didn't take the carry-on. He didn't say thanks. He didn't turn around. He walked into the store with his hood up and disappeared down an aisle. In the mirror, the white van wasn't behind us. I put it in park, hit cancel trip, and selected rider ended early. The app asked if everything was okay. I didn't answer. I climbed out and popped my trunk. Nothing there. Then I checked the back. The small black carry-on was zippered shut with the handle tucked in. I lifted it. It felt too light to be full. My skin prickled. I left it on the curb and stepped around to my tires, feeling along the inner edge of the wheel wells and the rear bumper. Nothing obvious. Then crouching, I saw it, taped up under the plastic lip of the rear bumper near the exhaust. A small white coin the size of a quarter, wrapped in black tape with a sliver of white peeking out, an AirTag. I snapped a photo. He peeled it free and slid it into a foil-lined coffee bag from the trash can by the pump. It's not perfect, but it blocks the signal long enough for you to think. Then I went inside. The guy in the gray hoodie wasn't in line. He wasn't by the coolers. I asked the clerk if he'd seen him. He shrugged. "People come in and out all night, man." I walked back out, put the bag tag in my glove compartment, and called the rideshare safety line. A sleepy agent took notes, flagged the trip, and told me to file a police report if I felt unsafe. I did. The officer was polite, took the AirTag and the still unclaimed carry-on, and said they'd check cameras. The next afternoon, the app support sent me an email. "Thanks for your safety report. We've reviewed your trip. The rider account associated with this trip has been deactivated for policy violations. No other details." I never saw the gray hooded man again. 2 days later, as I was getting ready to head out for the night, my phone buzzed with a text from a number I didn't know. "Got home safe," it read. Then a pin, the same apartment complex across town. No name, no previous messages. 2 minutes later, that same number sent a second text. "Next time you can come straight in. I'll open it." I blocked the number, changed my home address in the app to a random coffee shop 10 miles away, and bought a new rear bumper lip so I wouldn't think about where that tag had been. I still work nights. I still take airport pings, but I don't follow anyone into garages. And if my phone dings that AirTag alert, I head for the brightest place I can find. You can explain parts of it. People use tags for their luggage. Maybe it fell off. But the tape, the van, the added stop in a dead alley. When I think back to the moment the garage gate made that choked little sound and nothing lifted, the back of my neck still crawls like I'm standing under a vent that just turned on. I'm a woman in my late 20s. I work at a hotel on the night front desk. I don't drink, and I get off between 1 and 2 a.m. a lot. The bus runs overnight, but it's 2 transfers and 40 minutes of waiting in the cold. Uber gets me home in 10 minutes. I'm careful. I share my trip with my sister. I check the plate, the make, and the driver's face. It was a damp Thursday. I could smell the river in the air. At 1:54 a.m., I ordered a ride and stood under the hotel awning so the camera could see me. The app matched me with a grey Toyota Camry, plate 3KB42, driver named Nico, 4.97 rating. 5 minutes away. 2 minutes later, a grey Camry eased up to the curb early. The plate read 3KB421. Same letters, 2 numbers flipped. The driver rolled his window down halfway. He looked like a regular guy, mid-30s, baseball cap, light scruff. He smiled like he was trying to look friendly. "Uber for Lauren," he said. "That's my name." It set me at ease for a second, and then set me on edge because I hadn't typed my name in the note. I stayed where I was and glanced at my phone. Nico was still 3 minutes out and coming from the opposite direction. "Who are you picking up?" I asked. "Like you're supposed to." He checked his phone. "Lauren," he said, and lifted the phone a little, like that proved it. The app on his screen wasn't the Uber driver app. I could see that from 6 feet away. The colors were wrong. It looked like a regular map app with a dot on it. I shook my head. "My driver is 2 minutes away," I said. "Different plate." He kept smiling, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. "Plates are weird on rentals sometimes. They swap them. Hop in. You don't have to wait." "I'll wait," I said. He nodded like he agreed with me, rolled the window up and pulled down to the corner. He didn't leave. He just sat with his hazards on, brake lights glowing red on the wet pavement. My real driver came a minute later from the other way. Plate 3KB4112. He looked like his photo. I opened the back door, slid in, and hit share trip on my phone to send to my sister. As soon as my door closed, my driver clicked the locks. "Everything okay?" he asked. "There's a car at the corner with a plate that's like yours but not yours," I said. He tried to pick me up. He glanced in the mirror and made a face. "I see it," he said, and pulled away from the curb. We turned onto the main street, then right onto a quieter side street. The wrong Camry turned too, a car length back, its headlights too white and too bright in our mirror. My driver didn't say, "You're imagining it." He didn't tell me not to worry. He just kept his voice even. "We're going to go to the police station if he doesn't peel off," he said. "It's 4 turns from here." We took the 4 turns. The other car took 3. On the 3rd, he passed us and went straight, and I felt my shoulders release. And then at the next intersection, he appeared again, coming up the cross street to meet us. He had to have gone around the block to get ahead. The station is small, a glass door and 3 flagpoles out front. The lot is open. As soon as we eased into the entrance, the wrong Camry slowed, signal blinking like he was going to follow, then kept going. He didn't even pause. My driver parked by the door and put the car in park. "You okay?" he asked again. I nodded. My hands were shaking a little. "I am now." We sat there for a full minute. A cop came out, gave us a curious look, and then went back inside. No one came to our car. We waited until the feeling passed. Then my driver said, "I'll take you home," and we left the lot. We took the longer way. The wrong Camry didn't find us again. When we reached my building, the street was empty. I tipped him in cash and on the app and said thank you too many times and went inside. I double-locked the door. The apartment was the same as always. The quiet sounded loud after the tension. At 2:32 a.m., just as my heart was slowing, my phone lit up with a text from a number I didn't know. "Are you still at the corner?" it said. Nothing else. I stood at my window and looked through the blinds. The corner of my block was empty. A mist hung across the street like breath. I blocked the number. The next day on my lunch break, I checked my doorbell camera footage. It sees the street in front of my building, At 2:18, a grey Camry rolled past, slowed and idled by the corner. The plate 3KB421 was clear when the brake lights flared just right. The car did that loop 3 more times between 2:18 and 2:33. It never fully stopped. It never pulled to my curb. It just circled slow, like someone who isn't sure which house is yours, but thinks they'll know you when they see you. I sent the clips to Uber support with a report. They sent a "thanks for your report" email that felt like something a robot wrote. Maybe a real person saw it. I don't know. A week later, I took a daytime ride with a different driver. I checked the plate 3 times before I got in. He noticed and smiled. "Bad night once?" he asked. "Yeah," I said. "Good instinct," he said. "If anything's off, don't get in. If something feels wrong once you're in, tell me to head for a station or somewhere bright and public. We don't mind. It's better than letting something get weird." I still use Uber. The convenience is hard to beat. I always share my trip now, and I make the driver tell me who they're picking up before I get near the door. If the plate is 1 letter off, I go back inside. If someone's parked at the corner with their hazards on, I pretend I don't see them. You can explain parts of it. Maybe he was really picking up a different Lauren. Maybe he was lost, but he knew my name, and he had an almost plate, and he tried to get me to skip the app. When I think about the text, "Are you still at the corner?" my stomach does the thing it does when you step off a curb you didn't see. It's a small drop, and then you keep walking and you don't look back. I'm a rideshare driver on the industrial side of town. Nights there smell like hot metal and diesel, and the roads are wide and empty with the occasional semi gliding through like a grey whale. Pay is decent after midnight because the bars and the warehouses close around the same time, and the people who work late don't want to wait for the bus. It was a Thursday, almost 3 a.m., and I was about to head home when a ping came from a distribution center near the river. The rider's name was Mike. The pickup note said "back gate, employee lot, grey hoodie." I know the place. The security lights are bright enough to make the metal siding look like day. I rolled into the back lot, texted "here," and saw him walking, hoodie up, hands in his pockets, a beat-up duffel slung crossbody. He had the hunched posture of someone who's been on his feet 12 hours. "Hey," he said, opening the rear door. "Thanks. Can we take Riverline instead of the highway? Cops been stacked thick up there. Riverline is a frontage road that runs behind the warehouses, parallel to the river. It's mostly empty at night, and half of it is a patchwork of repairs that makes your tires sing. The app wanted the highway. I don't mind back roads if the rider asks." I nodded. "Sure, where we headed?" He gave an address in an older neighborhood on the east side. 25 minutes by highway, 28 by Riverline at this hour. "Got it," I said. We pulled out. He sat behind me and slightly to the right, which I like. I can see a person better that way. He didn't fidget. He didn't talk. He just breathed and looked out the window. 5 minutes in, he leaned forward a little. "Can you do me a quick favor?" he asked. "Stop at my buddy's place." "It's on the way. Just grab a key. 2 minutes at a stop?" I said, tilting my phone so he could see the app. "Sure," he said, and tapped his side of the seat, like tapping the air would add the pin. "It's in the alley off 7th, just a quick back in." The words "back in" put a small rock in my chest. Most people don't tell you how to park unless they're pulling something bigger than you up a narrow driveway, or they're trying to get you out of a sight line. I didn't say that. I just said, if it's an alley, I have to stay where I can see the street. Company policy. "Okay," he said after a long pause. Not mad, just listening to himself accept it. We stayed on Riverline, which is basically a tunnel of chain-link fences and boat storage lots and the occasional blank-faced warehouse with a single light over a door. The river sits behind all of it like black glass. We passed a shipyard crane skeletonized against the sky. A raccoon glanced up from a dumpster and froze in the beam for a second before vanishing. At 7th, the app wanted me to keep going straight. He said, "Right here," pointing to a narrow lane between 2 old brick buildings. There was an alley that ran the length of the block with a single light halfway down and a shadowy lane at the back that turned into a T behind the businesses. "I can pull up to the mouth," I said, "but I can't go in." "It's literally 2 minutes," he said, like he was practicing patience. "I'll be right back." I eased to the alley mouth and put it in park. The hair on the back of my neck had been slowly rising like a thermometer. "I'll wait here," I said, and clicked the interior lights on so my dash camera's night vision would stay bright. He opened the door and swung his legs out, then stopped with his feet on the ground. "Actually," he said, "I gotta grab something bigger. I'm going to need you to back in." "I can't," I said, steady and friendly like I was talking to a stubborn parking meter. "Company policy. If you need to move something, we'll have to cancel and you can call a bigger car." He stayed half in and half out of the car for a few seconds, then stood up, slung his duffel across his chest again, and shut the door. "2 minutes," he said, and walked into the alley. I watched him go. He passed into the oval of light and then into the dark beyond. In the corner of my eye, I saw movement the other way, the shadow of someone at the far end of the alley where it teed off, standing just out of the light, holding a phone with the screen brightness turned way down, facing toward the street like he was watching the alley mouth or waiting for a signal. The air felt colder. I locked my doors, clicked the hazards on, and scrolled the app to switch on record audio to save the last 10 minutes. 30 seconds later, my passenger reappeared in the far darkness, then in the oval of light, then at my window. He didn't breathe heavy. He didn't have anything new with him. "Forget it," he said, sliding back in. "He's not answering. Just take me home." "Okay," I said, and pulled away. My heart stayed up in my throat until we hit the main street again. We didn't talk until we were almost to the east side. Then he leaned forward again, not as close as before, and said, "Hey, thanks for not backing in." "No problem," I said, careful with my tone. "We all have rules." "Yeah," he said. "We all have rules." The address was one of those small houses with a buckled chain-link fence and a porch light mounted askew. He tapped the window, told me to stop 2 houses short, and paid cash for the tip. "Good night," he said, and slid out. I took the long way home. My chest didn't drop back to normal until I was in my kitchen. The next morning, when the light was better and my head was clearer, I went out to the car to wipe the dust off the rear window. On the passenger side wiper blade, someone had looped a small zip tie and pulled it just tight enough to hold, but not tight enough to notice in the dark. I'd seen a story about that online. People marking cars they want to follow later or tag as opportunities. I cut it off and threw it in the trash. Don't know if it was mine from some time before, or if someone slipped it on while I sat. At the alley mouth with my hazards blinking, I checked my dashcam footage. You can see my passenger go in and out of frame, see his silhouette. You can see a second shape at the far end of the alley, the phone screen, a tiny pocket of gray. You can't see anyone near my trunk. 2 days later, just after midnight, a text came from a number I didn't recognize. "Back in next time," it said. That was it. No period, no name. I blocked the number and took the video to the police station down the street. The officer watched, wrote down the address, and said they'd patrol more. Maybe they did. The alley's quiet now when I pass. Sometimes the porch light at the buckled fence blinks once, like someone got too close to it. I still drive. I still take Riverline if someone asks. But I don't back into alleys. I don't let anyone direct me somewhere my gut doesn't want to go. And if someone tells me, it'll only be 2 minutes, I set my timer for 3 and get ready to leave at 2.5. It's not paranoia if it keeps you moving. This last one started ordinary and got strange in a quiet way, the kind of strange that doesn't jump out and yell, but sits in the back seat of your mind and taps the headrest now and then. I was out in the suburbs that are almost country. Long, straight roads with a streetlight every quarter mile and big dark fields that soak up your headlights. It was a Sunday night. The air smelled like cut grass and damp earth. It was 12:41 a.m. when I got a ping from a park and ride lot by the highway. Rider named Liam, no notes. I picked people up there before, shift workers dropping off a car, friends dropping friends. The lot was empty except for 2 cars parked far apart like strangers at a bus stop. The sodium lights hummed and threw that mustard hue that makes everything look a little fake. I pulled into the pickup lane, texted here, and watched the entrance. No one came in. No one stood up from behind the vending machines. The app timer ticked down the usual 5 minutes. At 4 minutes, a figure stepped out from behind a pillar, hands in jacket pockets, hood up. "Uber," he said. "Liam?" I asked. He nodded and got in, sat behind me on the passenger side. He smelled like laundry and rain. The destination was a cul-de-sac in a new development 8 minutes away. We pulled out and merged onto the highway, then off again at the next exit. He didn't talk. He watched the window. My dashcam's little red rec light blinked. Halfway there, the app did something I've only seen twice. It flashed a banner that said, "Rider changed destination," and the blue line on the map nudged 2 blocks over. The new pin was still in the same neighborhood, just the street behind the original cul-de-sac. Change of address. I asked, "Same place," he said softly. "Back entrance." I don't like back entrances in new developments because they're usually half-built or blocked by dirt mounds. But the map seemed to know a road there, so I kept going. At the next light, something in the rear view made me squint. A dark SUV had turned when we turned and stayed 3 car lengths behind. Nothing unusual, except when we slowed for the speed bump, they slowed for nothing, creeping in a way that feels like someone is copying you instead of driving. We turned right. The SUV turned right. We turned left into a loop. The SUV kept going, then reappeared coming up the other side of the loop, like he knew the neighborhood better than we did. I told myself to stop seeing patterns. We passed a row of houses still wrapped in Tyvek, with big numbers spray-painted on the studs. A cat darted across the road like a shadow that realized it had weight. "Right here," he said, and pointed at a street that hadn't been paved yet. The app's blue line continued forward to the original cul-de-sac. "There's no road," I said. "No, we'll have to go around." He didn't answer. He just breathed out, slow and long, like someone ending a thought. "Take me to the original," he said after a second. His voice was so quiet I almost missed it. We followed the app to the cul-de-sac. The house at the pin was dark, construction dumpster by the curb. No blinds, no porch light. A single mailbox at the end of the drive with no number on it yet. The dark SUV rolled by at the far end of the street, paused at the corner, then kept going. My headlights washed the front of the house and made the empty windows look like eye sockets. "Drop me here," he said, and tapped my seat back twice with his knuckles. Not mean, just a signal. "I'll walk." I ended the trip. The app gave me the usual 5 stars to tap for the rider and a place to add a comment. Before I could hit anything, my passenger said, "Thanks," very soft, and opened the door. He stepped out and stood for a second, then turned and walked not toward the dark house, but toward the narrow strip of land between this cul-de-sac and the next street over, where the developer had cut a walking path with a temporary fence. He disappeared behind a pile of stacked pavers and then didn't reappear. I waited for the porch light of somewhere to blink on. Nothing did. As I put the car into drive, my phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. "Stay on main roads," it said. "Don't take the path." No name, no context. It came through in that second, between me seeing him vanish between houses and me deciding whether I should circle to make sure he was okay. I didn't reply. I didn't circle. I left the neighborhood the way I came. The dark SUV didn't follow. I checked the mirrors every other breath until I hit the highway. The next morning, I watched my dash cam footage back while I drank coffee. You can see the empty lot, the 2 cars, and the figure coming out from behind the pillar exactly 1 second after my "here" text went blue. You can see him sit down and keep his face turned away from the lens, like he knows where the camera is in every rideshare car. You can see the SUV in 3 different cuts of the streetlights rolling by, with the glare blowing out the plate. You can see him step out and walk toward the pathway. The 3rd time I watched, I noticed a detail I hadn't seen in the moment. The sidewalk at the mouth of the cul-de-sac had a small rectangle of fresh asphalt near the curb, cut with a circle of spray paint around it. like a crew had patched something that day. In my dash cam, when the SUV rolled by the last time, it idled by that patch for 2 seconds, just long enough for a phone screen to glow and then go dark. I added the unknown text to the file and sent it to support with a strange destination change note. They thanked me and said they'd review. 2 days later, the same number texted again at 1:07 a.m. Don't pick up park and ride pings after midnight. They're fishing. That was it. Short, blunt, and out of nowhere. I blocked it. Then I unblocked it and saved it as unknown. I figured if someone was weird enough to warn me without asking for anything, maybe they had a reason. A week after that, on a night when the sky was low and the world felt like it was holding its breath, I got another ping from that same park and ride lot at 12:43. Rider name Liam, same spelling, no notes. I stared at it until the timer ran almost out and then hit decline. The little line of text under the decline button said, "This will not affect your rating." My hands were sweating anyway. You can explain parts of it. New neighborhoods confuse GPS. People take back paths because it's faster on foot. Dark SUVs live in new developments like birds live in trees. Maybe the texts were a prank, but when I think about the patch of asphalt and the SUV's slow roll, my skin remembers the way the air felt when I took my foot off the brake and decided to go straight out to the main road and not turn back. Which story scared you the most? Comment below and subscribe for more true horror stories.